Hello, I'm Kathy Greven from Greven & Co. We are financial strategists for life, using financial planning and accounting tools and software to help clients build wealth. And today I am joined by the lovely Kate from The Huddle, and Kate is a conflicts management consultant, which I thought would be very interesting in terms of getting her 20 years of service to a variety of conflict management scenarios to help us weave our way through the conflicts. So is there any leaders that you can think of that people should aspire to be like?
Oh, that's such a good question, and one that my brain struggles with to think of people off the top of my head.
Can I give you an example?
Yeah.
Because on the weekend, not that it's my team, mind you, but Lions did football, AFL, did very well. And I thought their coach was so approachable to them.
Yeah.
You know, he was shaking everyone's hands, giving that respect.
Yeah.
And, you know, he wasn't sort of worked up when there was an issue. He was more collaborative, more supportive. I don't know if you saw that either. But, you know, for me, that team works so well together.
Yes.
To come from, what are they, 7th or 8th position, and now they're in the grand final.
Again.
What does a team
Absolutely.
to build a team?
And I do love elite sport for that, for what it shows us about good team work. Like when Richmond went through their period of being elite, and the chairperson told the board members very clearly that if they wanted to be in the change room talking to the players or talking to the coaches, then they couldn't be on the board, because you couldn't be both. You couldn't do governance and do operations. And I just love that.
How good's that?
Yeah, Patty, I think it was Patty somebody. She was the chair of Richmond at the time. And it it was so good. It was like being really clear about the boundaries.
And sort of having no conflict of interest.
No conflict of interest.
And how many times do we see so much conflict of interest? I mean, you just look at, if I take, you know, Donald Trump, for example, you know, he was asked how he felt after that young man got assassinated, and then he's talking about his ballroom that he's putting all this money in, and then the ABC reporter asked him about his business dealings, and he said, well, that's got nothing to do with me. My children are taking care of that. It's like, well, hang on, you're the president of the United States. Where's the line drawn with your children now taking on? You're still at the head of your enterprises. How can there be any separation of
You're not allowed to ask
power?
Those questions. They're nasty.
I know. But let's not talk about him. We'll be here all day. But that kind of separation,
absolutely,
transparency.
When I see a chairperson involved in operations, you know that that creates so many challenges. Chain of command is really important.
It is,
and it's important that people honour it. And I can't tell you the number of times where I have been involved because there has been, claims of bullying and the like, because of somebody very senior missing a chain of command and overriding, and it's just undermining.
Absolutely,
so bad.
So how do small businesses deal with it? Because you don't have that hierarchy, you don't have that board of directors.
No,
you know, it's the boss, like me. I'm the chief bottle washer, as well as the person offering the advice. And when I have a new staff member in my induction, it's like, if you have a complaint, I'm sorry, I'm it.
Yes.
You got to come and see me.
Yes.
So if it's about me, where do they go?
Look, sometimes what they can do is they can nominate somebody outside, so an HR person or somebody. So organisations have done that type of thing where we agree as a group that if we've got a problem and we feel uncomfortable to raise it, we will include this third party.
Okay.
So that we've got a safety net, because it is really hard when there is no board, there is no one to go to.
Small teams, you know, they work or they don't work, you know, and one missed cog, one bad apple, whatever you want to call it, can just make, you know, all the dominoes fall.
Absolutely.
Big time.
And that's a very stressful position for leaders to be in. Because often the bad apple is often a really high performer.
It is.
It's usually a high performer.
Yeah.
And it feels like you can't afford to live without them, but I can tell you can't afford to have them either.
Correct. So psychologically, where does that put the team? You know, like if you've got one bad apple, if you've got someone who's not performing or and may not necessarily be their fault. It could be because they're, having some mental health issues or they're, they've had an accident and they can't perform at their peak or whatever the case may be. That does put a lot of pressure on the rest of the team. How do you conflict your way out of that?
I think it's one of those moments where we have to have some clear boundaries. So it's if there is mental health or illness or whatever, it's about where is the line. At some stage, that person is not going to be able to do the job because of whatever. And so long as you're very clear about that and you have boundaries,
yes,
it's really interesting, and it's a valuable conversation to have before a crisis. Like I always think if you can get ahead of something and to think these things through, like what would we do? Because ultimately if it was somebody else in the team, it's like we sometimes we can give empathy to certain people and not other people.
True.
And
True.
And so when we're not in that strained position, it's good to think through. Let's think about if somebody got sick or something, how would we as a team respond to that? And so we're really clear about what the boundaries are and our expectations. I always think everything to do with conflict is what conversations can you have before it happens, and risk manage relationships as much as possible. But I mean, mental health's really interesting, and I think it's an area, particularly in small business, where people are very scared to make very significant decisions, which says, unfortunately, this is the role, and you're unable to perform that role, and I've given you this much, space and opportunity, and it's not going to happen, and I'm going to let you go. And that's a difficult journey to go on.
Very. But, especially if they're a long-standing client,
absolutely,
a long-standing employee that's supported you over years.
It's a relationship.
It is.
But you've also got a business, and you've also probably got other people in the team that you need to nurture. And so I always think team is everything. You have to constantly, as a leader, think about what are the needs of the team, not what are my needs, what are the individual needs, what are the needs of the team.
Yes.
And then that can help you make much better decisions.
Yes.
Because you can't rescue people because you can't afford to.
True.
And it doesn't serve them either.
No.
It doesn't serve them. So I often think we've got to make very difficult decisions, but every conversation we have with love. So we do things with love and respect and care, and we give people information, and we say this is what's going to happen, and this is what I need you to be at by this time.
Yes.
And then it becomes really clear, well, by that time we're not here, so I'm really sorry, but I need to let you go.
Yes, yes.
But
you still got to work with that person.
You've got to work with that person.
It does take you away from a small business. Takes you away from the things that that.
And it's a huge challenge because it's so time consuming.
It is so time consuming. And you think about that in a big organisation, and it's not surprising people get lost. And many times I've seen and heard where a person isn't a right fit, not necessarily for mental health, but for any other reason. And instead of terminating that person, giving them the opportunities to better themselves, but instead actually move them on. And what they term moving on is that they take them to another department.
Oh, I know.
And, so it's just snowballing the issues, isn't it?
I see that a lot, particularly in government.
Yes.
And it's just like, we've just handballed the problem to someone else, and we never address it. And to be perfectly honest, we're not particularly fair either, because often what's happening is those people are not getting feedback. They're not getting information that's going to help them. Like if I've got food in my teeth, if you tell me I can do something about it, if I don't, then chances are I'm going to wander around all day with, food in my teeth. But I've worked with people where this person's been a problem for 20 years, 30 years, whatever it might be, and nobody has told them. And I just think that's really unfair.
Unfair to that person.
Absolutely, really unfair to that person. And then when they find out, when something really big happens, and then it's like, everyone's been talking about me for this period of time, and no one had the courage to tell me.
And how bad do you feel at that point?
It's shocking.
Because you think, well, everyone's talking behind my back.
Yeah.
That's just as bad.
I just think it's terrible. And I think we should – I work with lots of people who are deemed as difficult people, and often they are struggling with emotional awareness, intelligence and, EQ and all those things, or they're very, very very rigid in their thinking, potentially on the spectrum, on the autism spectrum, a whole range of different things. But I can tell you that when I can call out the behaviour and just say, look, when I noticed the other day that when you were stressed, it looked like this, and I'm not sure if you're aware that you do this when you're stressed. And they go, no, thank you, that's really valuable information. People think that getting feedback is going to be a problem, but you can't fix a problem you don't know about.
Correct.
And I think we make assumptions that everybody knows what they do. They don't.
No.
They do not.
And what about someone who's sort of got a passive-aggressive behaviour in the workplace?
Passive-aggressive is really interesting because it often goes into that victim space.
It
so
does.
I'm a victim, and so you can't pick on me because I'm a victim, and you're not allowed to, victim shame.
Very true.
But so I want to always empower them, and so okay, so what do you want, and what are you prepared to do about it? And I just put it back on them. Like, it's not the victim doesn't hold because you're an adult and you get to make choices. And so if you want something to stop or change, well, what is it, and what are you going to do about it? What conversations do you need to have to make that? That's a very difficult position for somebody who's in victim mode. But if we keep allowing somebody to be in a victim space, that's really unhelpful, and it's unhelpful to them. And often I do use the drama triangle so there's a thing called the Cartman drama triangle, which has rescuer, victim and persecutor. And we all play it. And basically it's sort of like mum empties the dishwasher because child doesn't do it, and so they rescue the child, and then dad comes home and says, why is your mother unpacking the dishwasher, and blah blah, and so everyone goes around and most of us played the rescuer role. That's our most comfortable position. But we always know we're playing rescuer because we feel resentment. So I always think the two R's, rescuer and resentment. But we can also very easily move into the victim mode, like everyone's out to get me and I want somebody to rescue me.
Right.
And so if I draw the drama triangle and I explain their position, and they say, which position are you in? And then, I'm being a victim. And nobody wants to own that. Nobody wants to be a victim. It's like, okay. So if you don't want to be the victim,
what are you going to do?
What do you want to do?
Yeah.
What do you want to do? And the rule of thumb is if you don't want to play that game of the drama triangle where we all sort of go from persecuting to the rescue to victim, then we have to empower the victim.
Yes.
We don't rescue.
And how do you empower that person?
By getting them to take action.
Okay.
So they either have the conversation with the person they need to have the conversation with, or there are consequences associated, like rescuing by emptying the dishwasher for the child doesn't teach the child anything.
No.
And we're just rescuing, and we're keeping the peace and it's all lovely, but it's not lovely, and we feel furious, and then chances are we're going to explode at some stage.